can be seated. We're going to stand the whole day. It's a joyous day. It's going to be a good day today. We're going to have a lot going on. We're going to get our sermon. After that, we have a special guest in the house today. At the end, we're going to talk about him. We've got a lot going on. So, before I get started, I wanted to share something. As I was preparing this sermon, and those of you that have been to my house and know me, I have a fascination for eagles. I have eagles across my house. Going into my bedroom, I have an eagle with a wingspan like that. Going in. They've been part of my life, and as I thought about it, that might have been the godly part of directing me to the Lord. Because as I look up and I see the majesty of an eagle flying so high, with the vision to watch everything down on earth, and the way they protect their young, it just kind of, it feels godly to me. It's different. You know, you think of the eagle, they build their nest really high up in the sky. And they build it with big branches and big thorns. And then they line it with moss and feathers. And when the young come about, they're safe, they're comfy, they're secure. Kind of like raising your family. And as they go along in time, the eagles feed their young. They go find, it reminds me kind of some of the kids of today, 35 years old, still living at home. Mother cooks for them, does their laundry, they got a place to sleep. But then comes the day that the eagle comes over the nest, and it flaps its feathers, and flaps, and blows all of the feathers and moss out of the nest. And now there's just the thorns and the branches. It's not real comfortable. Then the eagle takes the young and soars high in the sky and drops it. And as it comes crashing to earth, right before it hits, the eagle flies underneath it, catches it, takes it back up into the sky. And they do this 2 or 3 times until the baby eaglet learns to fly. And it's on his own. And you know, to me, that's a fascinating way of life, but it's the way kind of we were growing up. One day you're thrown out there and you got to fend for yourself. So when it comes to mind at the end of the story, keep that in mind at the end of this sermon. And another thing I want you to remember, we remember the eagles, and we're going to remember your spiritual season. Now, I don't know if you relate to a spiritual season or what a spiritual season is. But without spiritual seasons, we probably don't have much growth. So today's sermon is very simple. Seasons. One word, easy to get along with. But you ask, how does that relate to the Bible? What's with seasons? Well, let's open the Bible up. Genesis, verse 1, chapter 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We'll go to Genesis 8:22. As long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest time, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. We can read along further, go into the book of John, John's 1:1. In the beginning, the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. This shows there's seasons. God created the seasons. He put the seasons about. It's about what we are. Think of it this way. If the farmer didn't spread the seeds to grow the crops, would there be a harvest? If God didn't test your faith, would there be testimony? We're in a season right now called fall. The fall season. We've got the Fall Festival coming next week. We've got Thanksgiving around the corner. You know, sometimes in Florida we forget about that we actually have seasons. In Florida we kind of stay mundane through the whole thing. But the seasons are there. You go to Georgia before the storm that they just had, and it was beautiful. The leaves were changing. There were golds and reds and yellows. The whole place was refreshing. The temperatures had cooled down. It was a relief. It's a time of fall. You know, until the 16th century, fall was called harvest. It was the harvest season, the harvest time. It was a fruitful season, full of joy and graciousness. And then it changes. As all seasons in life, no matter how you're living through it, they change. So we moved into winter. Well, here again in Florida, we don't really know that winter. We miss the harshness of the snows and the ice and the cold weather and being sucked in your house and can't go and huddled against the fireplace. But it also is a dormant season. The trees don't die during the winter. The bushes don't die. They're saving up the energy. They're building their spirits. They're building everything up in it, so that when it's time, they can bloom with the beauty that was given to them. It's kind of a rest period for them. And this goes on over and over again. You come to spring. You brought a spring. It gets warmer. There's longer daylight hours. We plant seeds. And the seeds grow well because the ground is warm and it prospers to growth. You look everywhere, there's new life. Everything is happy. The flowers are blooming. There's different shades of green. Everything comes to life. You see new little bunnies bouncing through the yard. There's women pushing their little strollers around with their new babies. It's a beautiful time. But as God created it, it now changes into summer. Depending on where you live, the temperatures may vary from a nice summer breeze to a unbearable scorcher, which we tend to have and Arizona has. You know, when you plant the seeds and they start to grow, they need watering. They need weeding. They need to keep the bugs off of them. They need to have the animals from destroying them. This helps you out and helps their beauty grow. So it just doesn't happen. Seasons are forever changing. No matter what season you're in, you can be sure of one thing. It's going to change. Sometimes they're longer, sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're wetter. But remember one thing, and this is what I want you to take away from it. It's God's plan. God planned this out. You know, everybody has seasons. The Christian literal year, it has 6 seasons. Advent, Christmas, Lent, the sacred Paschal Triduum, which is the Jewish Passover, Easter, and then ordinary times. So even in Christianity, we have seasons. If you own a business, you have the season where you launch the business. You have a season with growth. You have a season to shake out the bugs that are in it. You have maturity, then you have decline. As human beings, we have seasons, such as pregnancy, infancy, the toddler years, childhood, puberty, adulthood, middle age, and finally, that great season the senior season of life. Yep, it comes through all the time. So you see, thinking about seasons has a lot of stuff in mind. There's a lot going on with seasons. But God had planned it. It's not something that just happened. And the most essential part of this sermon today, now we're getting into the good stuff, is the spiritual season of your life. Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever taken the time to think about what's going on in your life and why it's going on? Some people think that life just goes on. If you were going from town to town, or you were going across the country, would you try doing it without a road map, or a GPS, or somewhere to get there? The seasons of your life are that guidance through your life on how you get there. Now, some people say there's 4 seasons. Christian way was 6 seasons. As we're going to learn, we could probably have 12 seasons. It doesn't matter the number of seasons we have in our life. It's understanding that we're in a season of life. It's how we get there. Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 through 8. If you don't think there's seasons, try this. Everything has its time. To everything there is a season. A time for every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to pluck what we planted. Time to kill and time to heal. Time to break down and time to build up. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance. Time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones. Time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing. Time to gain and time to lose. Time to keep and time to throw away. Time to tear and time to sow. Time to keep silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate. Time of war and time of peace. Where are you in that time? Where are you in your seasons? God's arranged stages in our life and giving us spiritual seasons. And you must understand them. It is important. And I want you to take notes today on your card. You have your little card up. It's got on the back. It's got some notes. They're going to change. Nothing that I'm going to tell you is exact science to where it is. Each and every person varies. Each and every lifestyle varies. Where you live varies. Fall here is not the same fall in Greenwich. Fall here is not the same fall that we have in Canada or Germany. So everybody's life revolves differently. Look at the seasons. Put together a chart of seasons in your life. The number doesn't matter. We just went through 12 of them. You can have 4. You can have 6. But the point you have to remember is that you're living in a life of seasons. I tend to go with a little 4 version season. And I call it the grow and stretching season. It's kind of like winter, where life seems dormant. It's a time for for stretching, but a time of stretching the heart. A time of receiving, a time of stretching your inner soul. A time to rest and get developed. A time of undergoing pains. It may be a time in your life you feel, God has left me. He went on vacation and didn't invite me. It's a time when you experience the internal growth. It's a time when you, as a Christian, learn and grow. And you save it all up. Paul wrote a letter to the church of Corinthian. And he explained that Christianity is patience and expectations. His letter in 2 Corinthians falls right into this lesson. So we're going to read 2 Corinthians, verse 1, chapter 4 to 6.
Wait a minute. Chapter 1?
No, 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 4 and 6.
That's what you said. You said it backwards.
Okay, I'm backwards. It happens. If I was right side up all the time, it wouldn't be fun.
I'm sorry.
There's no problem. I love it. Okay. Who comforts us in all our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble with the comfort we ourselves receive from God. Just as we share abundantly in the sufferings of Christ, so also our comfort abounds through Christ. If we are distressed, it is for your comfort and salvation. If we are comforted, it is for your comfort and produces you patient endurance for the same sufferings we suffer. That's where I put into growth and stretching. That's the inner part of you. It's growing. God is working on you during this period of time in your life. So it's a growth period of your life, but a quiet internal growth. He fills you with the patience and the comfort you need. And with that patience, He gives you the patience to comfort others, so that you can have the ability to reach out to others and give the comfort that God has given you. I go to my second season. I call it the pruning season. We call it spring in the normal calendar. New seeds of truth have been planted. We've gone through a time in our lives where we've absorbed and we've learned and we've felt alone and we've grown that patience. But now the seeds are planted in our minds. We need to water them. We need to cultivate them. This is a time of growth. So as we go through the new life, we look deeper in ourselves. It may be a time of loss. It's a time when you have to prune away some of the things in life that you have. This is a time in life where you get rid of those bad habits. You get rid of those ungodly thoughts. It's a time where you may break up with your girlfriend. You may have a problem. It may be a bad relationship. She may be leading you away from God, or he away from God. It's a time where you grow within your life. You lose that negative mindset. I can't do this or I can't do that. You have to learn from it. You may have some toxic friends that are leading you the wrong way. It's time to clip them out. Prune them away. It's a time to clear your life. You may be in a toxic job situation. You may want to change jobs. All of this is the pruning season of your life. It's a time where you have to take charge, cleanse yourself, get rid of the bad negativity around you. We're going to read 2 Corinthians 3, verses 4 to 6. Such confidence we have in Christ before God. Not that we are competent in ourselves to claim anything for ourselves, but our confidence comes from God. He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter of the Spirit, for the letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. God gets rid of the ungodly aspects of your life. This is the pruning time of your life. It's a tearing down time. Time to clear the soil so that you can live further in it. Then I go to the dry and the wilderness season. This is often a time of loneliness. God's voice may be seen very distant to you. Remember in Mark 1, verses 12 through 15, where was Jesus? He was in the desert for 40 days. He had Satan attacking him, trying to make him sway. But this is a time in your life when God is often the closest to you. This is a time you're being challenged. You're left alone. And Satan's attacking you at all times. This is a time to seek the Lord even more. You know, God's an expert at weeding out the bad things. Psalms 34:19 says it this way. The Lord is close to brokenhearted, saves those whose spirit is crushed. When you're lonely, you're crushed, you don't have anything going on, God is there to save you. You just have to reach out to Him. You know, I hope you're getting the idea that each of us have seasons. You have to create and mark your own season on how it goes. You have to know when you're in that season. You have to know things are going on in your season. You can't grow if you don't know where you're going. You can't grow unless you know why you're going through something. 2 Corinthians 4, verse 16 and 18. There we do not lose heart, though outward we are wasting away, yet inward we are being renewed day by day. For light and momentary troubles are achieved for us for eternal glory, that far outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes on what is seen. We fix our eyes not on what is seen, but what is unseen. Since it seems temporary, but what is unseen is eternal. Being a blue reading that, what that means is what you see is superficial. What you see is going to go away. But what is unseen, what is in your heart, is with you forever. During the dry season, you want to focus on the unseen. Have you ever got to a point in your life, Lord, I can't take it anymore. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. That's the time to focus on the Lord. Don't give up. Work through what you've got going on in your life. Everybody has it. Everybody has seasons. And that's why you need to know what season you're in your life. We go to the fourth season, and it falls right in. It's called the harvest season. This is a season in your life when you benefit from all the seeds that have been planted, We've gone through these seasons and we've had loss. We didn't know what's going on. We didn't know if God was with us anymore. And now comes a time when all of the learning, the studying, the searching for God that's in you comes out. Everything that's been planted in your head and in your heart comes out. God's blessings seem more tangible. It's a time to be good stewards. It's a time to give those blessings that you've been received to other people. So it's a time of receiving, but a time of giving. It's a time in your life where God has been generous to you. He's got you through all the bad points in your life. And there's a lot of people out there that need that help too. And it's a time that you can give back generously. What part of life are you in? What season are you in today? 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 6 through 9. Remember this. Whoever sows sparingly will reap sparingly. Whoever sows generously will reap generously. Each of you give what you have decided in your heart to give, not reluctantly under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to bless thee abundantly, so that all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work, as it is written. They freely scatter gifts to the poor. Their righteous endures forever. Embrace the season that you're in. I know that seems really simple. What season are you in? How does your life go? Regardless of how you'd like to list them, how you want to put them down, take a look at your life. That's all I can ask you, is take a look at your life and find out where you are in the seasons of life. God created them. We've read that. So it's up to you to do it. What do you think it was like? Were you scared when the tornadoes came through and your phone kept beeping and beeping and beeping that there were tornado watches everywhere? 126 times it went off. I have a business in Fort Pierce. It's still there. A little bit of damage. 500 feet away, there used to be a gas station.
Used to be.
It's gone.
Oh my goodness.
A half a mile up the road, my manager lived. She still lives. Her house lost a carport, but the 5 houses around her are gone.
Oh, wow.
Okay? What are these people thinking at this point in their life? What season are they in their life? Why did this have to happen to them? If you understand your seasons and you stay prepared for what's going on, it's easier to cope with. The outreach of support to those people that we have in this state and this government is unreal. I was talking to my manager at 8 o'clock at night. She gets a knock on the door. It's somebody in uniform asking if she needs ice. They have no power. They have no water. They have nothing. They try to turn on the water and there's a leak somewhere else. They try to turn on the power and there's a live wire somewhere else. It's a war zone there. But they lived through what they had. We don't know why God brings things together, but we know we're supposed to endure through them. We have to know what's going on with them. So when we started, I asked you 2 questions. One is, what spiritual season you're in your life? Have you ever thought of that? Have you ever thought about the seasons of life? You know when it's hot is summer. You know when it's cold is winter. But do you know what season you're in? Look at Ecclesiastics and say, what season am I in? Where am I going to go? It lists all the things that can happen to you. Go back and read it. Go back and study it. Go back and learn so that you can grow. And remember that eagle that was soaring high in the sky? It swooped down, catches the eaglet before it crashes to earth. Remember what happened? The eagle catches it, just like the hands of God catching you. When you fall, when you go down, God is there to grab you. Next slide. Keep going. Must have got out of kilter. So either way, there you go. Trust in the Lord. Psalms 37:24. Though he may stumble, he will not fall. The Lord upholds him with his hands. The eagle follows that as he catches his young. Just as you look up in the sky and say, oh Lord, when times are the worst and you're falling, trust in the Lord. He will keep you. He will bring you through it. That's the part that we need to learn. It's the part we need to work with everything we have going in our life. Is trust in the Lord. No matter what season you're in, there's a reason for it. There has to be pruning in your life. There has to be growth in your life. God gave us his salvation. And you have to repent. But you have to live that life. So, we're going to do something different today. First, we're going to bring up Pastor Carl. This is Pastor Appreciation Month. And if you were at the banquet we had for the Southern Baptist Association, we were accepted as Southern Baptist. Pastor Carl was brought up to speak. And we had a great representation. I want to thank everybody that was there. It was fantastic. Nobody left with a bad feeling. And we awarded Pastor Carl. Did you bring your pen?
It's in my office. I forgot to grab it.
Did you want to grab it? Yeah, grab it. So, we awarded him a plaque that went over very well to all the people there. And the good part is that talking to some of the pastors afterwards, they thought it was great because their church doesn't do pastor appreciation. They didn't feel what was going on. And because we set the foundation that way, there are churches that may follow what we did. So we've already been there and possibly made headway. So Pastor Carl, come on up.
So thank you guys. To my church family, I can attest to that. We do a cohort once a month for the TCDA, Church Coast Baptist Association, and October. Actually, they technically do it in November because they know that a lot of times there's a lot going on in October, so November seems to be the better time. They do a pastor appreciation event. And it's kind of corny because you guys would think it's corny. It's not corny to us. But they give us like free car washes and haircuts back massages. Oh yeah, it's really nice. And it's like there, not like a gift card where we can go, where we all have time to do that. No, we walk in and my barber, who I pay every month to cut my hair and haven't in 2 months, because I thought I was going to get a free one this month, and unfortunately the hurricane kind of messed that up, so we'll see what happens. My barber is the barber, so I get my hair cut by my barber, which is really great. But the truth is, the reason why they do that is because not every church recognizes their pastors. And I'm so grateful and touched that our church does do this. I don't need it. I want you to understand this. I love to serve God. And because I love to serve God, I love to serve the people God has placed under my leadership. And I'm grateful. This is an above and beyond kind of mentality. I received this plaque from you guys. It says, presented to Pastor Carl Carnes in sincere appreciation for your 10 years of faithful service to Cornerstone Baptist Church, October of 2024. I celebrated 10 years in April. Actually, April 1st is my anniversary. My very first Sunday was April Fool's Day, and I walked into 7 people in the church. So I didn't know if that was a joke at the time, but what a grateful thing. Also, you guys gave a wonderful, beautiful card. I spent a lot of time reading that. Wow, I was impressed. I know our church has grown, but I didn't realize we had grown that much. And you guys, I really appreciated that. That was very moving. And of course, the monetary gift as well appreciated and very, very useful right now. So thank you so much. And I'm not gonna cry. So. I'm appreciative for a church that when I went to the doctor and told them about, going through with the surgery, they said, well, what does your church think about it? And I can tell them with certainty that my church supports me. And that's not always the truth, right? Not everybody understands it. Maybe you don't understand, and that's okay. But to be able to go and say the majority of people in the church have shown support and understanding is a big deal. Because what I do affects our church. And so I take that very seriously, and that's why I'm open and share it with you guys. So again, thank you so much. I enjoy and love the plaque. And you guys gave me an awesome plaque last year. That went to my house. That's still in my house. This one's going in my office. So thank you again, guys.
I know she doesn't like to come up.